Hey everybody, welcome to another introducing podcast episode. This is your girl, Miss Chris, aka Smart Video Girl, and it is what is this? July 26th. That's right, July 26th. This is episode number 9. 9 and 9 is so divine. That's like my life number. So welcome to another edition. I'm so glad that you are here, that you are joining me, that you have taken the time again to tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube, the Only Greatness Media Production YouTube channel. I really do appreciate you. I truly, really do. Um, and I have a very special show again, as always. I say that every single time, but I mean it because these shows are very special to me. Yay. So, welcome to everybody who's tuning in, who's coming in, who's regular, who's tuning in because you're a fan or a supporter of my guest who's going to be joining me. I'm going to be introducing you to those who stop here regularly, and this is going to be a very interesting story. So, shout out to everybody who is here. Good evening, Brown Girl Interrupting. Good evening to you. Just One Love. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. Again, my name, Chris, aka Smart Video Girl. If you have Instagram, which most people do, make sure you go and follow me on at Smart Video Girl on Instagram. And if you want to send me an email, if you want to be on the show, if you have any questions, send me an email at tellemchris@gmail.com. Okay, so I have a very, 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 very good show for you today. As you know, on this show, we bring you new people, new things, and new ways of thinking. So, the new person that I have for you today on introducing is Miss Shaharia Johnson. And me and her go way, 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 way back. The Smart Video Girl thing started a long time ago. So I met her when I was mentoring and doing work at the Boys and Girls Club in Southeast and through Miss M. So shout out to Miss M, who is the matriarch of this relationship, because she's the one who brought everybody. She had the youth, and she brought me and Lady J into the fold, and we were mentoring and teaching kids when we didn't even know what we were doing, what we wanted to do at the young tender ages of in our 20s. Okay, but over the years we have developed, and one of the young ladies who was a part of the Boys and Girls Club was Miss Shaharia Johnson, and she has a phenomenal story. And today's show title is The Will to Survive. And the reason is you're going to find out in a minute because I'm going to bring her up so that she can talk about her story. And I do want her to we're going to talk about what happened and how she was able to survive. And this is a story of domestic violence for those who do not know. But as always, I tell everybody, make sure that you grab your pens and your paper because the nuggets are going to drop, the jewels are going to be falling, and you want to make sure that you catch, catch all of the info. So without further ado, I would like to bring on Miss Shaharia Johnson. Yes. Hey, boo. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing good. It feels
Thank
good
you
to be
so,
here.
so much. Yes. Shout out to everybody who is here to support Miss Shaharia. You say, what's up? Silence kills in the building. Greetings from Mr. President Nate. So thank you, Nate, for being here and joining us. And this is a great story. I want everyone to um, journey quickly to a point where you have where we have our topic today, which is a will to survive. For those who do not know, who are new, give them a little background about your story, why you are here today, and why we are talking about the will to survive.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Shaharia Johnson. I'm a domestic violence survivor turned activist. So it started off with me being a domestic violence victim, and it turned into me surviving that and recognizing the difference between victimhood and survivorhood. And today I'm just talking about my journey my journey of healing and into survivorship. Um, yeah, I became a domestic violence survivor in 2015. Oh,
So,
and
how
yeah,
old were you in 2015?
I think I was 22. Was I 22? I think I was. Yeah, I think I was 22
Wow.
or 23.
22 or 23. Either way, that's very young. So, for ladies out there, um, at the age I was just speaking to my father about, because I was talking about who my guest was going to be, and I was telling him your story. It was very powerful. He was like, wow. And he said, and I was like, and she was young. I said she was in her early 20s.
Yeah.
And I said, unfortunately, and I don't have the statistic, but what I know is a lot of people, a lot of women, especially in our group, fall into this is like the period of your life where you either survive or you don't make it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
In these types of relationships, because we're young and we enter into relationships unknowingly, and there's different trust things that go on. There's a whole lot that goes into that, and you were one of those who survived. So I want to congratulate you. I want to just thank you for being strong enough to continue to not only to survive but to continue on as an activist and to share your story with others, so that others may gain the will to do the same thing. So, just a little background for those who don't know. In 2000, you said 15, right?
Yes.
Yes. 2015. Um, Tell them what happened the day that you actually. Well, before that, how long were you in the relationship with the person who was abusive with you?
2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
2 years. And during that time, when did you see the abuse first? When's the first time that you can recognize, even if it was hindsight, that there was abuse in the relationship?
A year into the relationship. So the whole second year was me trying to ease my way out, me recognizing already that, this person is dangerous and I can't just leave, because I can already feel his mentality by that point. Like it took a year for me to really see who he really was. And so that whole second year was me trying to find ways to get out without bruising his ego or, like trying to ease my
You
way.
were trying to ease your way out. You
Yeah,
didn't want to, because you knew if you just kind
yeah.
of just stepped
I
away, it
already
was
knew
going to
what
be
it
a problem.
ended up with by that point,
Mm,
and I knew it would be dangerous.
mm. So did you at the time have a support system that you could talk to, and did you have people around you who you could confide in to say, look, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of this relationship.
So I did have people around me, but I wasn't telling them everything about what I was going through. I
Mm-hmm,
didn't feel like it was that bad.
mm-hmm.
I didn't know the severity until towards the end of that second year.
So listen to. So you said that you didn't know the severity, but you were still trying to ease out. So at some
Yeah,
point, you did know that it would not be good. You just didn't realize that it would be almost life threatening
right.
at that point. Okay. So before the physical attack, and we're going to talk about that in a second, was there what other signs of abuse? Was there physical abuse before that, or was it the other signs of domestic, or the other types of domestic violence that most people don't usually talk about?
So there wasn't any like ongoing physical abuse. It was one time we got into an argument and then he pushed me down.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that one time. Um, and then it was other stuff that happened that night, but it wasn't ongoing fights or him hitting me, and it wasn't stuff like that. It was other things like him trying to isolate me away from my family and friends, like always wanted to be around me. Wherever I was going, he wanted to be there. Wherever he was going, he wanted me to be there. If I was away, he would be calling, texting.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Control.
I feel like it was a lot of gaslighting, but I didn't even know what gaslighting was until after I left the relationship. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even hear about that term until after, and I realized how many ways I was gaslighted throughout. but I didn't know that until after I left the situation. It was a lot of times that I was gaslighted. So I guess that would be emotional, mental
Hmm.
abuse,
Yeah.
trying to make it seem like it was my fault for him to react the aggressive ways that he was reacting, or if it wasn't because of what I said or what I did, he wouldn't have done X,
The
Y, or Z.
things.
So it was
Right.
a lot of things like that. Like maybe I was doing something wrong to make him react in those ways. So I need to walk on eggshells, make sure I don't make him react in those ways again. So it was a lot of that type of mental.
Mental. Yeah. Mental aware. Mental conditioning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what is that. That's kind of what that is. So, So with that being said, so you entered this 2 year relationship. You realize a year into it that you have to get out, right? And realize how bad it was, right? So, what happened the night of the incident? And I want you to kind of go through that for those who do not know. What happened the night of the incident that you think that caused it to be that turned violent as it turned violent?
Okay. Well, so a week, I would say a week before that day, it happened during broad daylight. It was like around 1 p.m. broad daylight. But a week before that, I was supposed to be walking in the Baltimore Fashion Week. And during that week, it was an altercation that me and him had, like after the show, because he thought that someone was flirting with me. And so, like on that way home, it that car ride home was when I realized, like we really have an issue. Like he was very mad that he thought that person, was flirting with me. Like he thought that because that person was flirting with me, that I could cheat on him or go with that person. Like it was a lot of things that was out of my control. I'm like, I can't help how a person feels about one. It wasn't a flirting type of situation. It was a woman who was also walking in a runway show. She was just being friendly, but how he reacted based on that, like, so we're in the car, we're driving home, and he's like bobbing and weaving through traffic, speeding, going through lights, just like irate, going off, angry because of what had happened. To me, it was just an innocent situation, and that's when I really felt that fear, that life threatening fear. Um, and so like after that day, I called the police, made a police report. I got a court protection order because I said, like that was that eye opening moment. Like I said, a year in I already felt, but that situation right there is like it made me really feel scared. Like I was scared for my life at that point.
Mm-hmm. It caused that emotional.
Yeah, it was like it was different. It was
Mm-hmm.
different this time. Like I can't really explain it, but it was that situation made it different. Had the protection order, and I had like blocked him on everything. Stopped responding to his calls and texts. But he was still finding a way to reach out to me. Like we just live a few minutes. He lived like a few minutes away from me, so he was like still coming to my door, throwing like rocks up at my window, still trying to
Right.
reach out to me, even though I had this protection order. So the day of my um, show, I had a fashion show that I was supposed to be going to. This is something that was planned for months and months ahead. I live on a hill. As soon as I got to the top of the hill, he was at the top. He was on a bike. He told me that he just wanted to talk. My doors were unlocked. He said that he would get off before I got on the highway. That Kenilworth, right before
Mm-hmm.
you get on 295. And so I said, he got into the car. I was still unsure at that point. It's like, because I already blocked you. I'm already afraid. And so before I got on the highway, I pulled over. It's a liquor store right there on Eastern Avenue and Kenilworth Avenue.
Right there. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I pulled over, that's when he pulled out his knife and told me to keep driving. And so at that point, that's when like everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted me to keep driving on the highway. But I decided to make that right off so I could get back towards Deanwood Metro Station because I felt like, okay, if he's this serious, he would probably do something. If I died on the highway, I would probably, throw
Right.
river, just anything. So I made that right because I was trying to make it to my sister's house. My sister lived like a couple blocks up
Mm.
Deanwood Metro Station. He knew that I was trying to head there, and he was like, "If you keep straight, I'm going to stab you." Um, So he told me to make that right. So once we was getting close to that stop sign, I still tried to slam on the gas to go that next. I was a block away from my sister's house. So I was slamming on the gas to go there, and he like jerked the wheel. The car went over the curb, and it became disabled. Like, so I'm over the curb, and that's when he began to stab me. So like I have at least 12 to 14 stab wounds, probably more, because I didn't shave off all of my head. So he stabbed me in my neck, my spine, the back of my head, my chest, and I also have like defense wounds on my wrists. And then I went completely paralyzed. Well, I was paralyzed, like I couldn't move, like my head was leaning down, blood just coming out. And then he ran. So at
Mm.
this point, I'm like, I can't move. The car's still running, even though it's like here. And I'm trying to talk, but can't really speak because I don't really have control over my body. Um, and then somebody had approached the scene. It was one guy who was like, he didn't have a phone. Like I was right by his yard. I'm like, he probably just didn't want to get involved, but he could have still called the police, but he just decided not to. He said nobody has a phone in the house. So this other guy walked
Nobody.
up to the scene, um, and he is the reason why I'm alive today. He
Wow.
wrapped his shirt around my neck. He called the police. He stayed with me. I was trying to tell him whatever I could so he could explain to the police.
Mm.
They arrived to the scene, and then I was able to tell them the address. So I was still able to talk, even though I wasn't able to move.
Mm.
And they went to his address, and he was at home. Yeah, so he was at home. So I didn't have a purse or phone. So he must have taken that stuff and probably threw it somewhere. But yeah, he was at home. And then when he had got locked up, he was denying everything. But then they had showed them the pictures, you
Mhm.
know, showed him some pictures of me. And then that's when he broke down crying, saying, I just loved her so much. And yeah. And then that's when I was hospitalized. I
Mhm.
started off at that PG. Yeah, started off at PG County. That's when they had to give me my chest tubes because my lungs had collapsed from the blood.
Wow.
Then I had to get medevac from PG County to Baltimore Shock Trauma Center. And I was there for a couple of weeks, them trying to stabilize me. I had to get a blood transfusion. And at this point, I'm still paralyzed. That's when they diagnosed me with an incomplete spinal cord injury called Brown-Séquard syndrome. So it's like, complete spinal cord injuries mean the connections are completely severed. You'll be paralyzed for life. And incomplete means you're paralyzed, but it's a chance for you to be mobile again, even if it's not in the same way.
Right.
So after 2 weeks there, my home was National Rehab Hospital in DC.
Right. Yeah.
Like 4.5 months. It was about 4.5 months. Just a lot of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and recreational therapy.
Right. Wow. Oh my gosh. So y'all, if you just tuning in, if you just missed the powerful story of Miss Shaharia Johnson and her survival uh, um, of our domestic violence situation. And I want to point out a couple of things for those who were listening to the story. When you first started talking about it, you knew something in your gut, you had an instinct immediately to do things that were going to help you survive. And I
Mhm.
want you to like immediately you didn't get on the highway because like you said anything could have happened on the highway. You know what I'm saying? That's a faster speed. A whole lot of different things could have happened. There would have been nobody around. You know what I'm saying? People would have literally have to stop to do anything. And you knew your proximity. You knew where you were, and you knew where you needed to be to kind of get to like a safe zone. So that was like a will. That was like your mind was like bent on surviving. And you held that in your head. You held that image in your head. There was a, to hear your story, there was no way that you were not going to survive, especially the way that you tell it. You don't tell it as someone who um, was a victim. You tell that story as someone who is like a superhero. You know what I'm saying? Or overcoming. It's like I knew what to, and and I think that's important to show that even in the weakness and in the abuse, there's still the strength of
Mhm.
your mind. You know what I'm saying? The strength of your mind and the ability to survive. You know, the ability to tell them you were able to speak. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That people, people. I just had a young lady on here who had a stroke at the age of 33, and then 2 years, after that, she became like this painter. So I want what I'm trying to say is that our minds, you know what I'm saying, when our bodies go through these things, there's still something going on
Mhm.
within us that is allows us to still be great, to survive, to
Mhm.
overcome, to be strong, and even in this domestic violence situation, Shari, I just want to thank you so much for sharing that. And I think every time you tell it, you get stronger. You know what I'm saying? I really do. And like the people are saying, look, Shahari is one of the goats. Yes, she is. She is the goat. She is. And that, yes, it was nothing but God. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
But understand that He put all that in you. You made your destiny is to survive. You know what I'm saying? Your destiny. So you had everything that you needed. You had everything in you that you needed in order to get through that situation. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? As hard as it was, you had everything that you needed to get through that situation. Yes. So, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. So through that, through the experience, you started an organization called Silence Kills. Yes. So tell us what you do with your organization, Silence Kills, and how people can reach you and support you.
Okay, yeah. So throughout that, um, I realized something that was very important, like a underlying factor as to why that contributed to why I stayed and why
Mm-hmm.
I felt so unalive going through that situation. And a big part of that was silence because I wasn't telling the people around me for fear of like, shame or them telling me, things that I didn't want to hear at the time because I didn't know the extent or how things would end up. Like, no one ever expects no one ever expects to almost have their life taken away. No matter, if you break up with somebody, you expect it to be just that. You expect it to be just that. No one ever expects something to the extent of almost losing your life after you choosing to leave somebody for your own good. So in the process of my recovery, I've realized that my silence was killing me, not physically, but mentally. Like I wasn't speaking out on those things, and I realized that I was so far removed from who I really was on the inside. Um, I just feel like so that brain baby came from there. Like silence kills. When you speak out, you bring life to issues, you bring life to things, you break cycles,
Mm-hmm.
you help other people. So there's so many good things that comes from speaking out. Like my motto is speak on the unspoken. So the name
Yes.
of my nonprofit is Silence Kills, and my motto is speak on the unspoken. Speak on the unspoken because silence kills. And I realized that throughout this whole process, me speaking on those things have helped so many people. It has helped me so much, and it just needs to happen. A lot of people don't speak out for understandable reasons, like for very understandable reasons. But I do appreciate the people that do speak out on these things because it helps. It has helped my own recovery and healing so much, and it's also helped so many other people. And I do feel like every time that I speak on it, I do get stronger. Like it was a point that I couldn't get through the whole story without crying. It is still those deep feelings, but it's also the more that I live, the more that I realize how much I've grown
Mm-hmm.
as a result of going through that. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
have never transformed in the ways of have this strong voice, even though I'm still, like,
Yeah.
I still have, I have that voice and my voice is powerful when I do speak and I'm not afraid to use it now.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So my website is www.silencekills. So SILENCEKILLS.net. You can find our website there. You can email us there. We also have Instagram and Twitter. That's Silence Kills and the number 0. We have some more events coming up. If you would like to volunteer to be a board member, volunteer at one of our events, or just support, be a part of our community. I have a Facebook group called Silent Skills Community. I have a Facebook page called Silent Skills. You can also catch us on Instagram or Twitter. We're still growing. We're still a new organization, so we're trying
Right.
to become more rooted. But we would love more people to join our cause.
Well, you're doing great work. You're doing awesome work, and I think sometimes like you said, we all have the destiny. Like you still have that. Like your personality hadn't changed really much. You know what I'm saying? As much other than you being stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like you're still the you still have that same light energy that you had when I met you when you were like you know
Yeah,
um,
17.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I just it's that oh my God, I can't believe that. That's been so long. Don't tell nobody our ages. But I've seen you grow and it's been awesome to see your progress and I've kind of been like there kind of 16. Okay, yes, 16. I think this is Miss M. Uh
Yeah.
yes, it's so we it's just been an amazing journey and I think you went through that for the exact reason like you had the epiphany you had to go through that to know that silence kills on a grand scale. You see what I'm saying? That
Right.
was part of your destiny, part of your journey,
Right. And I didn't touch on what we exactly do, so I want to touch on that first.
yes.
So at
Go ahead.
our organization, we help people heal from trauma using artistic expression and holistic healing. So we do a bunch of things to get people to speak on the unspoken using not necessarily their voices, but it can be, like physical art, digital art, dancing. Like that's our end goals, to have people express themselves, express their trauma, express their healing and stories through art. And to me, art is anything, not just paint. Art can be anything. Art can be the way that you do your poetry. Art can be the way that you cook. In my eyes, art can be the way that you portray people using photography. Art can be anything. So that, because I know a lot of times it's hard to just speak on things. A lot of times it's better to just show people.
Absolutely. You're right, and that's funny. Because if you watch some of my past episodes, I had an artist on who did a lot of work who telling stories of our history, of Black history. He was 10 years old in Selma, and he spoke about being a 10-year-old at the bridge at Bloody Sunday. But he used his art because they told him he couldn't read and he couldn't write and all these other things. So he used his art to speak on that experience. So I think that that's an awesome thing that you're doing. So make sure that you check out Silence Kills. Okay, Silence Kills. The website is www.silencekills.net. Correct?
Yes.
And you can look them up follow her on Instagram at Silence Kills with a zero at the end. That's a zero. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email or reach out and let me know who was the guest again, and how can I get in touch with their organization, and I will hook you up. Okay, I got all the information. So as you know, we're going to talk some more about Silence Kills and our theme for the topic for today, which is um, the will to survive. I don't know why I just had a brain fart. But the will to survive. We're going to elaborate more about the will to survive. But as you know, right now it's time for some new things. That's what we do every Tuesday here on the show. I introduce you to new people and new things. And this week, what we have two new things that I'm doing. Two new things. So the first thing is, if you missed it, if you don't know, Introducing is now on Spreaker Radio Wow Radio. Yes, that's right. So every Monday at 9 a.m., you can catch the rebroadcast of the shows. And guess what? They started at episode 1. So if you missed any of the episodes, you can catch them. You can catch the replays here on YouTube, or you can also just download Spreaker, listen to it on Wow Radio's channel. All right, so make sure you check that out Mondays at 9 a.m. So you can start your week off, get a refresher, and then come back here on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and catch the whole thing live again. All right. And also, we're talking about the will to survive. Well, I have signed up for a challenge and I want to invite you all to sign up with me. And it is called the Time to Thrive Challenge because surviving is getting us to a point where we realize that we need to continue to grow. Once you survive through something, now it's time to thrive. That's where you find purpose, hopefully, in what it is that, and the reason why you survived, you know, and you aim to thrive. So I want everyone to join me if you can. It's free. So the link is just go to timetothrivechallenge.com. And if you know Tony Robbins, then you know this is going to be powerful. So sign up. That's all I got to say. All right. New things. So, again, introducing on Wild Radio, 9 a.m. every Monday. Check it out. And sign up for the Time to Thrive Challenge. That begins next week, actually, August 2nd. So, that's what we're doing. That's the new thing. So, thank you so much. Let's go back over to the comments and see what we got here. We got the artistry of being authentically defined minds wide. This definitely is Miss M. I know it is with her. But so definitely art is a beauty. And I know Miss M would appreciate that because she was a photographer, she loved
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And she did a lot of work through art. So Miss M, you can be sure that all of your students, most of them have definitely um, grabbed onto that lesson that you taught them about art, and they have expressed it in some form or fashion. Right. All right. Okay. So the new way of thinking today, we're talking about the will to survive. So last week I had Miss Dr. BJ Page on, and we were talking about the 6 superpowers. I call them superpowers, and one of them was willpower. Right. The will, our will, and the will is in essence, the ability to hold an idea in your mind without any interruption. Meaning that there's nothing that can shake or stir whatever it is that you have in your mind. It's going to stay there, and your mind will come up with whatever it is needs to do to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? That's will. And so when I talk about the will to survive, when I thought about the topic for this show, it definitely you had a will to survive. So as you transition, and we talked about this a little bit because you're working on a project. You just did I just did a taping for you. You're working on a project. You just had an event, but in that documentary that you're working on, we started talking about like the survivor's mind, right? And you spoke about that in your introduction. How are you transitioning into thriving through this event?
Um, I think I transitioned by acceptance.
Mm,
Acceptance was how I started to develop that survivor's mentality. Um, because for a long time after this happened, I was going through a lot of counseling. I was even seeing a psychiatrist. So I was seeing a psychologist and a
mhm,
psychiatrist for the medication part, psychologist for the talking part. And I was just like not myself.
mm,
I was, I was down. I was down bad. Like my mental was all over the place. It was scattered. My emotions were always up and down. They
mm,
diagnosed me with having PTSD, depression, and anxiety, and so I got medications for all three. I couldn't sleep. My moods weren't stable. I wasn't able to eat. Wasn't able to be okay. Like all of those things. And I feel like the thing that changed was me accepting how I have changed, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What that makes a whole lot of sense because that says that you were growing. And I
Yeah.
talk about that a lot on the because I talk about that a lot. People get stuck. You get comfortable, and it's not comfortable doesn't necessarily mean good for you. Just comfortable just means you don't you know in the state where in the sense like when you're traumatized like that, the comfort is just being close. Like that's not really comfort, but it is comforting
Mm.
rather than being you know afraid or being or realizing that these different things affect you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're almost scared of your own emotions type of thing. You know. So that is so the sign that you were able to do that. That's the growth. You know what I'm saying? I see that as the growth in you to accept that hey, I have changed and
Yeah.
I'm not who I used to be.
Right. And
Right.
sometimes I still struggle back and forth, but it's not on the same level.
Hmm.
It's not on the same level as it was before. Before, I just felt like I was going through the motions. I was just, taking my medications as prescribed. Like I
Hmm.
wasn't happy. I wasn't motivated to keep staying in that. I was just in a lot of pain physically, mentally, spiritually. Like I just wasn't happy. I was just in this life that didn't bring me any joy. So I didn't want to keep existing in that. And then something changed and it made me overcome want to overcome. Like I already
Hmm.
had the will to survive. But it's like now I have to, grow. Like you said, that growth factor was a big thing. And I started delving into my spirituality much deeper. And that's what has taken me to that next level.
Hmm.
Spirituality is like I started to see things totally different, you know. Um, it wasn't just from an emotional standpoint. It was from a like reflective thinking about the universe as a whole, people as a whole, and starting to see that maybe a lot of things wasn't so personal. A lot of things are because people are dealing with their own demons and their own situations that they have not overcome. I just started to see a whole bunch of things differently.
Right. Right. Your mind opened up. Yeah, you start to see it from instead of like egocentric, you see it from a more like universal that we're all connected in this universe and then nothing happens by chance and that there's duality. There's so many different laws of the universe that govern us and that we have to realize that I applaud you for not only surviving but overcoming that because a lot of people do survive but they stay stuck to that point right after survival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Where it's
it's
still
easy.
yeah, where it's still you still are trapped, you know what I'm saying? Because now you're paralyzed, you know what I'm saying? And even though you were paralyzed, you overcame and you are doing I mean, for those who do not know, I mean, I say perfectly fine, but I know you're not as you were before, but you for those who did not know you, they wouldn't know that you went through
Right.
the struggles that you went through. They wouldn't know that you were
That's my
paralyzed.
growth. That's my healing, right?
Right.
Right there. Like, and I see that healing. Like I've come so far. Like I have people still coming up to me saying, when I first met you, when I used to always see you, you always look upset. You wasn't happy when you spoke. Like people that I didn't even think notice these things about me, they're coming up to me saying, "You're so different now." And it's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, and it's all authentic because like back then, I didn't pretend to be happy. I felt what I was feeling, and I didn't try to hide what I was feeling because it was what I was feeling. It was my normal, you
Yeah.
know. And so now it's like it's shocking to hear. I didn't think people paid too much attention to outside of my family.
Well,
But
we don't never know who's watching us. You never know who's watching you because I'm telling you, I've seen you the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I've seen you the whole time. I've seen the progress, and so and I know other people have seen it. You know what I'm saying? So it is a growth. So I ask you, what's next for you as you continue to grow? what does your flower look like? What does the ultimate bloom of Shaharia look like?
A lot of things. A
Okay.
lot of things. I would say my ultimate goals are gaining more peace, gaining more stability, gaining more growth. It's like the more that I grow, the more I see how much I still need to grow.
Mhm.
Because I've grown so much, but I still see things that trigger me.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
all those things. So I would say growth is what's
Mhm.
next for me. In addition to, like, I'm in the process of trying to write a poetry book, like a
Okay.
chapbook of sorts, but it's going to be like poetry and prose type of
Okay.
thing. So it's not going to be a traditional trap book. And I also want to write a book possibly. And then continue to grow my organization, Silent Skills. Getting more community, getting more funding so we could put on greater events, impact more people. So I'm in the stage of building. I'm also in school, working on my master's in early childhood education. I have a son,
Yeah.
so he's my priority, helping him to be a strong black man, and he's only 2 right now. So that's like he's my joy. So those things are all of the things that I'm working on: my peace, happiness, helping my son grow, my nonprofit, and then my personal endeavors like writing my poetry chapbook and just building. I'm just trying to be at peace.
Yes, honey, I know what you mean. I get it. And listen, that's these are the goals this day. So we have the will to grow, okay? We have the will to grow. We're not out here surviving. We are thriving and growing, okay? That's what this is about. So I said the will to survive because we always say that, the will to survive, but I want us to have the will to thrive. I
Yeah.
want us to elevate beyond just surviving and really hold the image in our heads of growth for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? See, so because Shaharia, like I said, your ability to be aware of just your you've had that awareness the whole time. Clearly, in the midst of chaos in your life, you still had awareness. Like you said, like I pointed out, you made these very rash decisions in a
Yeah.
very unrational situation, and
Yeah.
a lot of people would not have had the calmness of mind, even in the to say, "Look, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
To that. So your awareness has always been there. Your ability to see that has always been there. It's always in you. And I just look forward to where you're going to grow and go from here. And for those who, again, if you would like to support, make sure you visit the website www.silencekills.net. If you put it in the chat for me, somebody put it in the chat for me, I'll put it up on the thing.
Yeah.
And then also make sure that you visit her on Instagram. Okay, Silence Kills with a 0 at the end. All right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, because we all trying to get our peace. I love that. I just posted something on Instagram too. So if you I just posted something on Instagram about peace. Always choose peace. Peace is a choice too, people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose to be peaceful. You have to choose, because that's like picking your battles and stuff like that. You have to choose peace. Sometimes it's just not to disrupt your peace of mind. You know,
It's hard. It's hard work
it's
because
hard work. It's all hard work, baby. It's all hard work. But that's why I'm coming out with a book called "Do the Work, Keep the Faith," because the whole point is it's hard work, and you have to push past the point where it's hard. Like we give up so easily, you know what I'm saying? Because it gets hard. We get overwhelmed, we get frustrated, we get discouraged, you know.
Mhm.
So we have to continue. We have to have the will to grow.
Yeah,
That's what we have to do. We have to have the will to grow. And so that's why I said that, so because that's important. Like if
yeah.
we don't have the will
Not
to
staying
grow.
stagnant. Not staying stagnant in whatever intense emotion that you're feeling. A lot of people just gotta allow themselves to feel that emotion and then work through it. Like when you go through traumatic situations, as expected though, like nobody ever expects to go through trauma situations, like your body reacting to something that never should have happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like being aware of it and then realizing how can you come out of it, because that's the only way that you will survive. Sorting out how you're going to move past it, work through it, move past it, and come out better. You can feel those emotions, but once you stay stuck in those emotions, you stay stuck back there.
You
You
gotta
know,
have the will to grow. If you have the will to grow, if you say grow, if grow is stuck on your mind, you're gonna come up with solutions. You're gonna do just like what Shahari said. You're gonna ask yourself the question: how can I get rid of? You acknowledge the feeling,
hmm
and you ask yourself, why? Why am I feeling like this? Because that's the other thing. You have to understand. You have to get to the root reason why. Because you won't feel like this again. Something gonna happen again. Why do I feel like this? And how can I not feel like this?
hmm
Okay, identify your your whys, and you will grow. You will grow and make choices that give you peace. Okay, if your peace is disrupted, and this you choosing peace, and your peace continue to be disrupted, okay, okay, what decision am I making that's disrupting my peace? Is it this person, or is it my react? Am I reacting? What am I doing?
hmm
Because you can only control. We can only control
Our reactions.
ourselves.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. Uh, like
Mm-hmm.
when I first went through this situation, like afterwards, I was very reactive.
Mm-hmm.
Like my emotions was all over the place. So you couldn't say the wrong thing to me. You couldn't look at me wrong. You couldn't give me the wrong energy because I was ready to react in a very defensive way. And because I've grown, I
Mm-hmm.
process things and I realize that everything don't require a reaction, a response.
Right. Right. And you got to think of what it does for you. You see what I'm saying? It does nothing for you to react like that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really resolve things. That's just how I see it. That's just how I see it. That's just how I see it. But guess what, y'all? We're coming to a close of decisions. Yes, it is coming to a close of the show. This has been another great episode of introducing, as always. But before we leave, real quick, what is the one thing, Shaharia, that you would like to share with anyone who may feel like they're in a situation that is they where they feel threatened, or they see that sign, like you said, that if they're in there that year, everything's been good, and then they see it, and now there's a sign that says I gotta go. What would you say to that person?
Talk to people. Talk to as many people as possible that can be there to support you and also get you the resources you need so you can leave. But don't keep it in. Talk to those friends and families that are concerned. But a lot of people are judgmental as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that means talking to a counselor, psychologist, or reaching out to the many resources. Like we have a national domestic violence hotline that you can call, and then you also have the DC Coalition Against Domestic Violence. They have a lot of resources. The National Network to End Domestic Violence, NNEDV. I don't know the exact website, but you can look up the National Network to End Domestic Violence, DC Coalition Against Domestic Violence. You could also call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, to get some of those resources. Like if you are trying to leave, but you don't have the means to leave, there are places that can get you emergency housing, sometimes emergency finances to relocate you, get you out of that situation, help you with. There are a lot of free resources that can help you with court stuff. Like if you're in a custody situation and you're trying to leave that domestic violence situation. So just looking through your options if you are trying to leave, just telling someone. There are a lot of organizations that can help. Um, making a plan, making a safety plan to escape. Because a lot of times it is dangerous to just leave, especially when that person knows everything about you and you know how violent they are and they have made threats before. If you do leave, being careful, being safe, making a plan, and then reaching out to the proper people to help you when you are ready to leave, to make sure it's safe as possible for you.
All right, you heard that. So make sure you are talking to people, however that may be, because even if you do not know the resource, someone may know a resource. Okay.
hmm
someone may know a resource. And um, again, make sure that you check out Silence Kills on IG and Twitter. It is Silence Kills with a zero, and the website is www.silencekills.net. It's scrolling down there at the bottom. I want to thank Shaharia Johnson for coming through, sharing her powerful story um, of how she overcame, how she survived domestic violence, and now how she is thriving in herself and growing. You know what I'm saying? Because she didn't just survive, because she's still breathing. There's a lot of people surviving, y'all.
Okay.
We want to thrive. So she is thriving through the trauma. She's worked through that. I congratulate you. I totally do, for having that awareness. Make sure that you come back next week. We will be here again next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m., as always, with another great guest, some more great conversation, new people, new things, and new ways of thinking. As always, I want to thank all of my sponsors. We have Wow Radio. Make sure you check me out. The show is coming on every Monday at 9 a.m., so you can go back and listen to some of the old shows. All right, so it's on via Spreaker, via iHeartRadio. So it's all over the world. It's going out there. It's going out there in the streets now. All right. Also, I want to give a shout out to CourtlandJones.com. If you see this shirt I got on today, it says "Live, Thrive, Triumph, Transcend." And again, this is on purpose because we are thriving. Okay, and if we thrive, we're triumph. When you win, it gives you the ability to continue to keep winning. Okay. All right. And that's so as you grow, it gives you the inspiration to keep growing. And that's what I see in you, Shahari, as you're discovering yourself, as you're discovering more, as you gaining more peace. You be like, oh, I want more. I want more peace. And there's a lot of peace out there. Okay. So everybody go get your peace. Make some good decisions. Keep the will to thrive. Okay. Keep the will to grow. Keep it in your head that no matter what, you are going to make it through. All right, let me go back to my sponsors. I forgot about that. Make sure that you go like and subscribe to the channel, Only Greatness Media Production. That's where you'll be able to check out the podcast live. Everywhere else, it's you catch it after the fact. So if you want to be live, you got to make sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. All right, and again, don't forget to go follow me over on Instagram at Smart Video Girl. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. Again, yeah, Shirley on the Run. That's our last sponsor. So thank you to her for being a sponsor, supporting our podcast. Make sure you check out her podcast, which airs every Friday at noon. And I'll be over there as well doing my engineering thing. So that's what we do. All right, so y'all, I appreciate you all, as I say every single week. Just continue to be mindful of the decisions that you make. Be mindful of your thoughts, just in general. You know what I'm saying? Be careful. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you listen to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I said the other day, I said, watch your diet. And it doesn't just mean what you
okay? Right. Everything that you consume.
Everything that you consume.
People.
It's all of people, all of that. It's all of that. Be careful who let you touch all that.
Yeah.
Careful of your diet, okay? And don't forget to hold it in your mind, the will to grow. Don't let the idea escape you. Don't get stuck in one place. All right? And no matter what it is, no matter what, you can always survive. You can always survive. Always survive. All right. So with that, we're out. Y'all have a great day, great week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Until next week, I'm out.
Bye. Bye.